Reclaiming Timeless Ways, Mike Traster, Simon Fuller. Here we go, another episode. Glad to have you along with us. Mike, talk to me, big guy.
You are not your circumstance.
Yeah, that deserves a little pause, doesn't it?
Yes. And there's a whole bunch of shit that comes down the pike, right?
Never more true words been spoken, right?
God, yes. So, cancer.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you say, oh, you never heard somebody, thank God, say, I am cancer.
Right.
They say, I am dealing with cancer, right? This is an incredibly important, essential distinction, right? One, there's no hope.
Right.
The other is a war,
Right.
and you know which side you're on,
Right.
right? There was an interesting statistical evaluation done of cancer patients a number of years ago, and they found that the people who were at peace with their cancer didn't do well. It was the ones who said, oh, cancer, you're a burglar, you're in my house, I am going to kill you.
Right.
They did much better. Their inner peace they could deal with when they weren't killing the cancer.
Right.
But that was a burglar or a toxic snake or a grizzly bear. They had to dispatch it,
Right.
right? You are not your circumstance.
Right.
It's happening to you and around you. It's part of your experience, not you. It isn't. So if you have diabetes, same thing. I need to manage my diet, my exercise, and my meds, you know? And the people around me need to be on board,
Yeah.
right? A broken bone. This happened. It's going to take a while to get fixed. And it's in the, you know, when you get cut, I cut my finger the other day, sharpening a knife. The moment that I cut it, it began to fix itself. That's something to think about.
That's interesting.
The instant,
Right.
right? It's like, oh, this is very FUBAR, you know. But it was mildly FUBAR. I didn't do as masterful a job of cutting myself as I could have.
My father-in-law always says he's a deer hunter as he's
Okay.
butchering them. If I don't end up with a little blood of my own, I feel like it wasn't a success.
Okay, there you go.
So he bars every time.
So a broken bone or a cut, the moment you break that bone, if it's approximating, right? In other words, the two pieces are still together. It's healing.
Right.
Or a
Right.
cut, right? The moment you get a cold, you're beginning to get over it.
Right.
Now your body might go into this raging immune storm for a day or two,
Right.
but you're beating it, right? You're fighting it. You're not being passive
Right.
about it, right? You're not your cold. You are not your broken bone. You are not diabetes. You are not cancer. This is something you have to deal with.
Right.
It's not who or what you are,
Yeah.
right? Vision. Let's say you have 20/50 instead of 20/20. Are you blind? No. No. You're not. You don't have perfect visual acuity, whatever perfect means,
Right.
right? Say you have a limp. Same thing. Okay. Well, you know, are you gonna tell yourself that that's something to be ashamed of? I am clumsy, or I am uncoordinated,
Right.
Or you say, yeah, I have a chronic injury to my hip or my knee or my Achilles tendon or my low back, so I don't walk as perfectly as I wish I did or once did, and I deal with it. And maybe you even tell somebody how you deal with it, because it's going to happen to them or somebody they love one day also.
Right.
Oh, ooh, okay. Or arthritis or depression. So these are circumstances. They're
Right.
not your essence. They're not the essence of your being.
And I'm going to take even a little deeper, Mike,
Please.
and have you comment on it. I know we did a show that kind of was on the same topic some time ago,
Yes.
but you're not a product of that circumstance. So what about divorce, or
Yeah.
what about a child of an abusive parent or an alcoholic parent? Or what about somebody who was raped or molested?
Right.
What about somebody who was told they were not good enough, they were ugly, they were fat, they were stupid, they were, those are all the sort of a deeper, bigger cut,
Absolutely.
so to speak. And you're also not those.
you're not.
That's not your letter, I think was the show that we talked about.
Right.
This a little bit, and that doesn't define who you are, Mike. And I guess maybe some comments, advice, and thoughts on, some of those deep cuts. I'm not talking physical.
Right. Well, if you've been treated abusively, your mental somebody wants their partner to stay, but their partner is getting done with them for whatever reason. So they told them, well, you're ugly, or you're stupid, or you're worthless. If you leave, you'll never have another person. They're free. That's why they're telling them those things. They're controlling them by trying to project fear onto them. But the things that they're saying to them about themselves most likely are untrue. It's just it's a tool that they're using to maneuver them. So if somebody got punched or beaten or knocked around or burnt or raped or emotionally abused, and I want to make it really clear that when I say words like beaten or raped or emotionally abused, these are things that men and women do to other men and women.
Yeah.
It's not just something that men do.
Right.
It is not. And anybody that says that or implies that is ignorant or a liar. These are things that happen between human beings.
Right.
Abusive things. And if somebody did it to you, it's because they're a mess. It has nothing to do with your value. Nothing. And you have to explain that to yourself. Wait a minute. I'm not worthless. This has nothing to do with my value. This is my experience. It's something that happened to me. If somebody's tire blew out and their car went out of control and they hit you sideways or head on, that wasn't because of your value. It's an event that happened. You received energy from it, destructive energy. It hurt you physically or emotionally or financially or several or all of those. And then you move on. You try to repair yourself and understand that it didn't happen because you deserved it. It happened. And I believe there's different sources of things that happen. Most people say there's two sources. I say there's three. One is good, one is evil. That's intention, right? And the third one is randomness. So if you're out running on the road, you're trotting, right? You're jogging. And there's a stone that you don't see and you trip on it and you injure your ankle. That wasn't evil and it wasn't good. It was random. So when you start explaining these things to yourself, it's very important to include the third part. The other thing is this person is not your identity. This event is not your identity. Your abuser is not your identity. You don't have to spend your life hating people that are like them. And if somebody raises their eyebrow the way that an abusive person did, doesn't mean they're abusive. It just means they have a similar trait. Does it mean that they are abusive? No. How do you figure out if they're abusive? You have to observe their behavior over time, right?
No, but it was well said, Mike, and that is the key. And I like the tire analogy, albeit it's on a different whole spectrum of thought. But the reality is, it happened, and
Right.
that doesn't make it good.
No.
It still sucked.
It sucked, absolutely.
But
It absolutely
when you
sucked.
said, just like you repair that, you begin to repair yourself and realize that it's not your fault. I think that was a key phrase. It is the perpetrator's fault, their issue.
Right.
Unfortunately, you became part of that, but that event shouldn't, and we hope it doesn't, I guess, brand you, so to speak, and become you.
You can look at yourself with a sort of a sterile, intellectual, analytical perspective, and you can say, did this happen to me because I have no value? Honestly, did it? Or did it happen to me because I was just a part of the chain of events? So there was maybe randomness and good or bad intentions, but did that have a reflection when I was 8 or 80 on my value? So if somebody's grandmother gets beat up, God forbid, was it because she's a bad person? Or because she just was in the wrong place at the wrong time, randomness, and also somebody brought violence onto her to steal her purse or whatever. So it had nothing to do with her value. And it's important that you gently but firmly remind yourself that if you have been stating that and it's incorrect, that you say to yourself in a non-self-critical way, oh, I've been saying something incorrect to myself, and I don't need to keep saying that. You keep, they say that a spaceship is off course 99% of the time. It has to make mid-course corrections. It's the same with an airplane or a car. If you ask yourself, when you're driving, are you driving in an absolutely flawlessly, mathematically perfect straight line?
Right in the middle of the center line and the...
You're never deviating.
No. Right.
Or are you constantly making subtle corrections?
Right.
Why would that be any different than, and do you judge yourself? Do you say, or would I say, oh, I am a bad person. I didn't drive on this perfect straight line.
My wife tells me that.
Does she?
You're veering. No, she doesn't. No, I'm teasing her.
Sounds like a Rodney Dangerfield problem, right?
But of course not. You're not beating yourself up over that.
No. So why, if you made a mistake and you misjudged your value because of some lore in culture, or just the habit of yourself or somebody in your family or group of friends, when you discover that you had veered off course, you just correct yourself. And it's like, if you have to correct yourself on a 1,000-mile drive, let's say I drive from here to Florida, right? I'm gonna correct the straightness of my driving probably 3 or 4 times a minute at least, right? Well, that's a lot of thousands of times of correction. Does that mean I'm a bad driver, or does that mean I'm a good driver? So if you have to correct yourself, you do it because you're being good to yourself. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Very good. Well, I appreciated hearing that component, because I think there's probably a lot out there watching that might fall under one of those categories, and we want you to know that you do have value. So anyway, you are not, your identity is not defined by any of those incidences.
Circumstances. Right.
And we hope that...
And mid-course correction is not just normal, it's continually essential, it's natural.
We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you will share it to others that you think might enjoy it as well. For Reclaiming Timeless Ways, I'm Simon Fuller, Mike Traster, wishing you a great day.